Have you ever heard of such a thing as forgiving your father's killer? Imagine a scenario where you lose your father in a tragic and violent way, and then years later, you walk into a prison room and face the person responsible for that. You tell him or her, "I forgive you." What would happen next? Honestly, no one can predict it. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the most amazing stories from around the world. Today, let's listen to the unbelievable story of a girl who forgave her father's murderer, and what happened next left everyone speechless. So don't go anywhere and stay with us till the end of the video. Let's dive in. It all started back in 2008. Ava had a wonderful father whom everyone loved. People called him a legend. He had worked as a teacher for more than 25 years and specialized in teaching children who had behavioral issues or had dropped out of school. Ava grew up watching her father help people turn their lives around. He was one of those people who always saw the good in everyone, she once told an interviewer. He never gave up on them and showed them that they could make something of themselves in life. And because of him, many kids who once seemed destined for delinquency went on to graduate high school and even college. As you might have guessed, Ava's father was extremely busy with his job. He spent almost all his time at work and hardly had any time for himself, so it was only natural for Ava and her mother to get used to his absence. But even though they missed him a lot, they knew he was doing important work. Then came March 2008. Ava was just 16 and celebrating her birthday with her mother and her friends at home. Her father had to work that day, so he promised to take her out to dinner the following day. He always said that he'd buy me whatever I wanted on my birthday, so I asked him to buy me a puppy, Ava recalled. Well, her father kept his promise and took her out for dinner the next day. He also bought her the puppy she had asked for. We were very happy that evening. My friends came over to play with the puppy and we had a wonderful time, Ava said. After her friends left, Ava went to bed early. Her mother, on the other hand, decided to spend some quality time with her husband, so she went out with him. At about 7 p.m., Ava's father returned home. When I woke up, he was already back, she said. He gave her a big smile and told her about how much fun he had with her mother that evening. But he looked tired, so Ava let him sleep while she played quietly in her room. She didn't want to disturb him. At about 8:30 p.m., Ava's father woke up and went downstairs to get a glass of water. As he returned to his room, he saw Ava playing quietly. He went up to her and asked if she wanted to go for ice cream. "You know, I love ice cream," Ava said, smiling. "Can we get cookies and cream?" "Of course," her father replied with a wink. He put on his shoes and went out, promising to be back soon. But he never returned. Just when her mother and father had stepped out of the house, they were approached by 3 young men who demanded their wallets and phones. Her father refused and tried to stop them, but the men pushed him to the ground and kicked him. One of them rummaged through his pockets and found his wallet and cell phone. Then they ran off. Her father was bleeding heavily from a wound on his head and was rushed to the hospital, but he never regained consciousness. The doctors pronounced him dead on arrival. Ava collapsed when she heard the news. Her whole world came crashing down. She couldn't believe that her father was really gone. Ava's mother was devastated, but she knew she had to be strong for her daughter's sake. Still, she couldn't keep it together all the time and would often break down in tears. But even in her grief, she knew exactly who was responsible for her husband's death. The police had caught the 3 men who had attacked her husband, but only one of them had actually dealt the fatal blow. His name was Marcus Washington. He was just 19 and had a lengthy criminal history. His record included charges of robbery, burglary, assault and weapons violations, reported the New York Times. The police said Mr. Washington had a history of taunting officers and making threats against them. He had been arrested 23 times. At the time of the incident, Marcus was out on parole after serving 6 months in jail for an unrelated crime. During his trial, he pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. In the aftermath of the incident, Ava's mother tried her best to move on and support her daughter. She knew that her husband would have wanted her to be strong, but Ava wasn't able to let go of her pain. She couldn't sleep or eat properly. Every milestone in her life reminded her of what she had lost. Her father wasn't just her parent, he was her hero. The one person who had always protected her and made her feel safe. And now that he was gone, she felt like she was living in a nightmare. She hated everyone involved in her father's death, especially Marcus. His face was shown on TV news channels, newspapers, and magazines. Every time she saw him, it fueled her rage. She wondered why he had taken her father away from her. She couldn't understand why anyone would want to hurt her father. Ava refused to talk about her father's death for a long time. She kept herself busy with schoolwork and eventually graduated from college, but she still struggled with nightmares and flashbacks. Even years after the incident, she could still hear the sound of her father's screams echoing in her ears. However, as time passed, she started to feel a strange new emotion, curiosity. She wanted to know more about the man who had killed her father. She wondered why he had done it. She wondered if he had a family of his own. She wondered if he regretted what he had done. So in 2016, about 8 years after her father's death, she decided to write a letter to Marcus. She didn't expect a reply, but she wanted to get some answers. "I wanted to know why he did it. I wanted to know what kind of person he was," she said. "I thought that if I could understand him, then maybe I could move on." She sent the letter to the prison where he was being held and waited. To her surprise, she received a reply a few months later. "I was nervous when I read his letter for the first time," she admitted, "but it was also the first time in a long time that I felt anything other than pain." Marcus's letter was full of remorse and shame. He apologized for what he had done and explained that he had no idea that the man he was attacking was a beloved teacher. He said that he had grown up in a broken home and had been abused as a child. He said that he had turned to drugs and alcohol to escape his pain and had been arrested several times for various offenses. He said that he was truly sorry for taking Ava's father away from her and that he wished he could take it back. After reading his letter, Ava felt a sense of relief. She realized that Marcus wasn't a monster and that he, too, was a victim of circumstance. She started visiting him in prison and they talked for hours about their lives. One day, Ava decided to forgive him. She didn't do it for him, she said, but for herself. She knew that holding on to her anger and resentment was only hurting her. "I had carried so much anger and hatred inside of me for so long that it was draining me," she said. "I realized that the only way to move on was to let go." She started speaking out about her experience and traveled around the country giving talks about forgiveness and second chances. She even co-wrote a book with Marcus about their story. Today, both Ava and Marcus are doing well. They have both found peace and closure. Marcus is still in prison, but he has earned his GED and is working towards a college degree. He has also become a mentor to other inmates, helping them to turn their lives around. When asked if she thinks her father would have wanted her to forgive Marcus, Ava replied, "I know he would have. He was a forgiving man and he would not want his death to be in vain. He would want us to use our story to help others."